Oh, 1 second. Hi guys, welcome back to. Okay, the name of the podcast is Tism Talks. So yeah,
Okay.
welcome to Tism Talks. Today I've got a very special guest, Vikram. He's currently a software engineer at AWS, right?
Yeah.
And he previously co-founded the social media offline, like app offline. That what at its peak it had like what, like 1,000 users?
Yeah, 1500. Yeah.
Yeah, 1,500 users. And I also remember hearing through the grapevine, you guys raised an angel round for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. Can I say the number that I heard, or like, do you not want me to mention that?
You can go ahead. Yeah. Go
I
for
heard
it.
you guys raised like 50K for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was gonna be the title, like the title of the podcast. It was like how this student raised $50,000 for his app and got it to 1,500
Yeah.
users.
Yeah. Is it recording right now? I don't know if
Yeah,
it's
it is. It is. It
okay.
is.
Okay,
Yeah.
you edit this part out. But hey guys, I'm Vikram. I'm a computer science student at the University of Toronto. I just recently graduated. I'm actually
Hmm.
working at Amazon this summer. But regardless of that, like I've been building a bunch of apps ever since I was a little kid. The first app that I've ever built was kind of like Uber Eats, but for people that cook food at home.
Hmm.
It was for my mother at the time. She cooked really good food, and I was like, why not make an app that can try to like let her sell food from home? So I learned Swift. Was not good at it. Then there's no AI, so really sucked ass. But
Yeah.
I learned the importance in distribution and scaling from really young, and also the importance in like good UI, good marketing. And yeah, that's just a little bit about me. And then I finally got into UFT, and then I'm like, you know what? There's a bunch of cool, smart people around me. Why not build some interesting ideas with them? So put a bunch of things together. Offline was probably like the sixth or seventh thing. Um, and a lot of failures led to, I guess, like one less of a failure. I wouldn't say I've had a success yet, but on the path to it for sure.
Wait. So let's start off with the first point that you mentioned. How old were you when you made that app, the first one for your mom, the
12.
Uber Eats? You were 12. So okay,
Yeah.
where did you grow up?
I grew up half of my time I grew up in Texas, so from like
Huh?
0 to 10, and then from 10 years old to around 18, I was in Calgary, Alberta.
Yeah, so when I was 12, I was like playing with Beyblades, but you were fucking learning, reading Swift docs, making an app.
Yeah, I think it started off with like being so like motivated by like reading and like listening to all these like tech CEOs. I was a really big fan of Steve Jobs at the time.
Yeah.
I think it's because my dad would watch it a lot, and like it just kind of like caught on to me. Um, and yeah, that's where the inspiration started from for sure.
Yeah, no, for me, yeah, no, for me, like, yeah, I remember I was really
Blade I
inspired
was
by
playing Blade
Steve
Blades
Jobs.
too. Yeah,
Yeah, bro, Beyblades are sick. I think
yeah,
because I always love talking to people that build apps and like hearing their story. And it's like, you guys were doing this at like 12. And like, okay, like now if you're a 12-year-old, you build an app, it's like, oh, whatever. You're probably using like Replit. But like today, it's like,
yeah,
bro, you were like reading the docs, typing it all out. That's insane
yeah.
that you're doing that so young.
Yeah, I was watching a Stanford like Swift course, and I was probably like the only like 12-year-old watching it. And that's kind of like where I was learning. Like I started off by building a calculator. I'm like, oh,
Hmm.
this is not that hard. I had a MacBook at the time. I'm like, yo, I can build Uber. Like it's not that difficult. It was really difficult.
Yeah.
But like I think it's like the fact that it was hard that got me excited, I think.
Yeah,
Um
no, that's awesome. I think it's funny that you mentioned the idea of a calculator because, like, you know, the meme where it's like, oh, yeah, this calculator app project I have, that's going to break me into FANG.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, honestly, I didn't even know what Fang was. I had no like ideas of like, okay, I want to work here, I want to do that. It was
Yeah.
all kind of just been startups. I think throughout the process you kind of realize that like, working at these companies gives you the experience and kind of the pedestal to kind of do things much more easily. And also meet people that are working on crazy stuff as well. I think the people around you matter a lot. So I
No,
kind
I
of like got
completely agree.
myself into it eventually. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally agree with that whole thing. And I've mostly worked on startups. I had my own startup, Build Safe. It ended up failing, but like, I feel like
Yeah.
it helped me get
Yeah.
my current position as like an AI lead. And I'm curious. So you brought up this idea of like failure. And I feel like
Yeah.
whenever you go talk to a startup founder, they're like, oh, I have all these failures. So like, what were the failures that you ran into and how did it help you in your journey? This could be for offline or even the
Yeah.
first app.
I'll give you a few. I think one of the early mistakes I made, I think in the very beginning of undergrad is this whole concept of perfecting things. I think oftentimes when you're making a product, you're like very circulated around, okay, how can I make it good enough so that people use this and not this competitor product? Um, so that is something that I feel like a lot of founders like get themselves stuck upon really early on. But I think it's much more important to get like data about why your product is good in the first place. Because oftentimes you're probably building something that people don't even want. And if you don't know
It's
that
so
people
real.
want it, it's like, why are you building it and why are you wasting all this time? And then convincing them after you build it is even much more of a hassling thing because now you spent all this time being passionate about a project. And the second you see that, okay, no one really cares, then you lose the inspiration to keep moving forward. So I'd say always have like data driven like insights when you're working on something. Definitely look at like how this is gonna like scale and what people think about the product. I've had like, even if you do all that, there are other things that you do have to think about. For example, another lesson that I learned is the importance of go to market and the importance in like realizing that, okay, you, for example, offline, one of the mistakes that we made with offline was that early on in its trajectory, we failed to give users the first aha moment. So let's say there are 100 users, only 10 of them or 15 of them were getting the aha moment. And they're actually meeting people and getting the noticeable connections. The other 75, 70% weren't necessarily getting it. And there were a lot of reasons for that. And I feel like because we focused a lot on marketing and data, we didn't focus enough on the actual aha moment in the product itself. So you kind of need to have a balance of both. And I think another important lesson that I've learned is the importance of having the right co-founders. I
Mhm.
cannot stress this enough. I think the people you work with is like either make it or break it. And oftentimes, unless you're a solo founder, which I've never really been a solo founder, I think having people that complement your strength, your weaknesses, so people that have strengths that are your weaknesses and you have their weaknesses as strengths, is really, really important. And I think some of the co-founders I've had at the very beginning are still the co-founders that I still build my startups with since now till date, and it's because I actually read this really crazy quote by Nell Ravikant where it's like, you know, you found your co-founders when you fail, but you don't ever think about swapping the teams. You're like, okay, you know what, next to the next idea, same people, and I feel like that's the type of energy that you should be surrounding yourself with. People that are constantly driven by like, well, let's go on to the next thing. It's fine. We fucked up here, but it's fine. Let's go to the next thing.
No, I completely agree with what you're saying, and I feel like I've noticed this thing. Whenever it comes to like the initial team, there's like the
Yeah.
technical person and there's the salesperson, and the
Yeah.
technical person always just wants to build. Like, they want to kind of be
Yeah.
in their own silo, just build their own thing,
Yeah.
and the salesperson wants to like talk to customers and really get that. And I feel like that balance is so important. But like, okay, with offline, I feel like it should have scaled. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of
Yeah.
those ideas that like when you just like you tell it to people, I was like, when I remember I first saw like, the Instagram reels you were posting, and I was like, oh, this is a good idea, bro. I was like, this, it should scale. And I'm curious. Okay, let's say like you had a time machine, you go back. What would you do differently? What would you change
That's a
about how you
that's a that's a really
yeah.
great question. And every time someone asks me this, even like in person, like I
Mhm.
always have a different answer because I'm always thinking about what I could have done differently, despite it
Yeah.
was what 8 months ago. Um, I think a major component is realizing that when you're creating a consumer app, the beginning is the most important part. Like you can like let's say for example a technical product, right? If you're building like let's say a new mobile back in 2006, you don't necessarily need to get the first part right. You can iterate and get the second one, third one, fourth one right. But because we were limited to just University of Toronto, and because of the fact that we had a lot of hype on the first day, so for example, we had like 400 downloads on the first day, and then it was like
Damn.
200 on the second day, and then like 100. So you got to realize that most of your mass adoption is in the first 3 days, especially if your
Yeah.
marketing is done really well. Because we marketed it before it was out, and it was this whole like, oh, we're dropping it on October 22nd, like hype, and that those 3 days for us was the most
Mhm.
important days, and we should have realized that, okay, we should have thought about the user flow and how we can get users hooked onto the app.
Mhm.
We were more so thinking about the main functionality of the app, but not like psychology driven behavior. And I feel like if I went back, one thing that I would have definitely done is I would have implemented features into the app that would make people want to come back and look at it often. For example, one of the features we had was we would scrape every event across all three campuses and put it on the app. But that came so later down the line that like by the time like it came out, there's barely any like retention on the app. But if that was
Mm.
in the beginning, right? People and students would have been like, okay, you know what? I can use this app to look at clubs, events, turn on notifications, and then every time there's a new event of a similar interest, they would have got re-notified. But because we were so heavily reliant on proximity, proximity is such a hard thing to get a user to drive back to the app because if they're at home or if they're on a Saturday or Sunday, they're not really on campus. Or sometimes what would happen is your location would actually not be streamed 24/7 if you have like do not disturb on or like low power battery. So I think the problem was unique. And because the problem was unique, it required like a unique way to get the user's retention, which we haven't been able to crack.
Mm.
I would say that was like one of the issues, but it's not a done deal. It will come out one day in the future. But there were a lot of learnings for sure from this.
No,
Yeah.
I feel like the thing that separates a good founder from a bad founder is a bad founder fails his idea. He's like, oh, I'm on to the next one. The good founder will move on to the next one, but they never forget about the idea. They're always
Yeah.
like, what was it that I did wrong? How would I do it differently? And I have a more technical question.
Yeah.
So you guys
Yeah.
did your marketing, and I'm assuming they were scaling. Like 400 users on like first day download is a lot. Were you guys like ready for like the amount of downloads, the amount of users coming? And if so, like how did you know how to like plan like that, like in terms of your cloud and everything?
That's a good question. Two things. There was an AWS crash the day before. Actually,
Oh, was
the
that
day.
the one where it was like everything was down, like east,
Yeah.
what, I can't remember what it was, but like some east
Yeah.
thing was like down.
That
That's
that was
hilarious.
that fucked up our downloads a little bit. But I think like I was fortunate enough to have really good co-founders. One of my co-founders he worked at Google. So
Oh
he's
wow.
really like familiar with infra, and the other co-founder was at Tesla. So we've been building a lot of scalable apps. Like I think vibe coding was definitely not something we were doing hella. Um, there's some things you can vibe code. For example, like UI. I would say
Mhm.
like UI, you can like you vibe code the hell out of it because you don't have time. You'd rather just get UI elements done quickly, pages done quickly, iterate quickly. But things like backend and like database logic and your infra, you gotta be like kind of like you gotta know what you're doing. And I didn't take care of the backend. That was all Asid, my other
Mhm.
co-founder. But I think a very big aspect of being able to make it like scalable was using like proper methodologies. Like, okay, do you have like load balancers? Do you have for chatting? We initially built our own chatting interface, and we realized that okay, that's not optimal because we can't have things like read recipients, emojis, gifs, and a bunch of other things reply to messages. So we transitioned into a different um, software. And then we had like a bunch of guardrails. So anytime we release a new update, we would kind of push the users to update their app. And these are all things you have to kind of think about beforehand. And I think it's good.
Mhm.
I think it's important to plan well. And obviously you can ask Claude like, hey, like if this scales to like 2,000 users, like what's gonna happen to my app? Will it crash? And it'll probably give you a realistic answer. So I think thinking about the future is important, like from the get-go.
No,
But
that's
not like
I
too much. Not
uh,
like, oh, I'm gonna get to 1 million downloads. If you get to 1 million downloads and your app crashes, then it's okay because
yeah, it's a
that's still
champagne
done.
problem. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's yeah, exactly. Um, but yeah,
I guess the next question, because I don't know, you know Adam, right?
Adam Badar, yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, no. So we were talking, and when I was talking to Adam, like the whole conversation came of like the future of software engineering is like Codex, Claude Code, and all of those. But then you were kind of talking about this whole idea about how there are some stuff that you can be assisted by Claude Code and all these things, but you need to have the solid grasp. And I want to understand, where do you see the future of software engineering going?
That's a really good question. There are
Thank
two
you. I appreciate it.
aspects. There are two aspects. There's one where um you have software engineers that are passionate about software engineering, and then you have software engineers that are not so passionate, so they end up like seeing what AI is doing, and then they go down like the founder route.
Mhm.
And then there are actually founders. So I would say there are three. Now, in any company, like big tech company or even the smaller ones, or startups or fintech, whatever, there's a mass adoption towards AI. And I understand, and one of the things that often gets brought up, I internet shop as well. This is a very big discussion. It was like, okay, now that we have developers that can ship quicker, does that mean that the code quality is better? And does that mean that you're actually giving out more throughput? And that's not necessarily true.
Mm,
So there's no like direct relationship because we went from writing code to reviewing code. So our
mm,
facet has changed. Our way of looking at code has changed, right? Instead of problem solving, more so, we are giving the problem solving to an AI agent, and now we're just reviewing the solution.
mm.
And I think it has definitely changed. I've had a lot of conversations with people, and they're telling me like they don't like this era of coding because it just doesn't feel like intellectually appealing enough. And then there's this whole like entree of people who use software engineering to solve other people's problems and kind of like make money off of it. I think that is a much more clearer route for people that are um, upset that they have no more problem solving because now their problem solving is users and marketing and different facets of building a product. So I think it's just funneled into a different area. And another thing is like the type of problem you're solving also matters. Like if your problem is very simple, then you're gonna hate your life. But if your problem is like complex and quite intricate, you will kind of be happy that AI is there. So it kind of depends on what side of software engineering you're on. If you're on front-end software engineering, that's very different than if you're on like AI or back-end infra or like some like it depends on what side of software engineering you're on as well. So yeah.
So essentially, if I understand correctly, there are some like software problems that even just to begin were pretty easy, and
Yeah.
those are the ones AI is replacing. But like the really complex ones, like how do you like make like how do you make an LLM work better? That's like a research based
Yeah.
question. How do you
Yeah.
like create a scaling policy that actually matches
Yeah.
like millions of users who have different usage level? Like so, essentially, the way I understand it is some problems are going to get replaced by AI, but like a lot of them, like it's just going to be more a tool to help.
Yeah, 100%. And a big reason for that as well is because like AI can't go log into your Google Cloud Console and change your like Elastic containers or like it can't do things that are um like knowledge based. Like you have to know why you're doing it. But
Wait, so
obviously you use AI to help you
yeah.
learn. So
So here's an interesting thing because like I love the fact that you mentioned cloud. You know what
yeah.
the AWS Gold Jacket is?
No. What is
So
that?
there's these exams like the Amazon Web Service exams like for cloud that you can take.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Practitioner and stuff. Yeah.
yeah. So there's like the ML engineer. There's this one. So there's 12 of them. If you pass every single exam, you get like a golden jacket. It's called the
Mm,
AWS Gold Jacket. And I was at AWS Connect like over a month ago now, and I saw this one guy who had a gold jacket. And I asked him, I was like, "What do you see the future of like cloud and all of this going?" And he
yeah.
was like, "Oh yeah, AI is going to completely be making all the changes on cloud." And then
Yeah.
my thought process as soon as he said that, I was like, "But wait, isn't that like a security issue? Because like if AI is doing this, we're giving it access to like massive compute, massive databases, like everything. Like even if
Yeah.
like, you give it 1 second of it and you have a rogue agent, that could like cause like catastrophic like damages. And
Yeah.
like, but then like on the other hand, I was like, wait, this guy is like one of the best in the world when it comes to cloud.
Yeah.
Like he's passed all
Yeah.
the Amazon exams. And I don't know, I sort of want to like, I guess, ask you about this whole
Yeah.
like security and safety thing. Cause
Yeah.
like again, like do you think about AI safety at all? Or
100%. Have you
yeah.
have you looked into Palantir's ontology ever?
I have not. I'm googling that
Okay,
right now.
I will kind of summarize it for you. So basically, I really like how Palantir solves the whole concept of permissions. So I'll give you a quick example. Um, let's say we go to the concept of a healthcare clinic.
Mhm,
Doctors, in essence, have certain rules, right? They can
mhm.
sign off prescriptions, they can do certain activities that a nurse can't do, or that a regular practitioner can't do, or that a receptionist at the front of the clinic can't do. But everyone has their different roles. So the way Palantir combats like security is every single user that's interacting with an agent has a set of guidelines and permissions that they can act upon. So let's say you're not in cloud, you're a front-end engineer and you're trying to like ship some code and you accidentally write a prompt that is vulnerable to the cloud and it can go and let's say like you have your entire workforce is connected to cloud somehow. Um, it won't be able to write into cloud or do anything of
Oh,
that sort because that user has protocols and permissions. And in
mhm.
order for you to escalate, you'd actually have to notify the person responsible, and their agent is responsible for taking care of it. That's one thing. that's how Palantir solves like their whole like ontology
Uh-huh.
aspect. Same thing goes with like military, right? Commanders can issue like drones to fly over certain areas a regular observer can't.
Mhm.
They can make a request. The request goes to the commander, and the commander can issue the request. So very similar concept here. Now the question is, it goes from like, okay, if AI can access everything, it's about what services does the AI allow a user to have access to? So it's more so like permissions now. Um,
Mhm.
and I think a very interesting point that you bring up actually with the whole like cloud being automated not code but prompt. Um, it is definitely like very foreseeable future. I don't see it as something that's not going to happen in the next like decade.
Mhm.
The real question is like, how do the guardrails for these systems look like? I
Mhm.
think what's gonna happen is anytime there's an update, there's gonna be like agents that scurry out vertically across the entire code base, and they try to like resolve agents, resolve problems.
Mhm.
Um, and I think the infrastructure is gonna get more complicated. And
Mhm.
I don't see that. I don't see it as a security vulnerability, especially if you consider like permissions, like who's able to do it. Someone that's senior and has been in the space for 10
Mhm.
years, they can probably have clearance to do certain things that junior engineers won't.
That's very interesting. The way I see it is, you know how like with reinforcement learning with human feedback, it
Yeah,
really like made LLMs work like so much better, and it like made
yeah,
it like so much less toxic. I feel like we need there's something with reinforcement learning that you have to do with agents. I don't know what it is exactly, but I just feel like it's something similar to RLHF. That like once you
evals.
apply, yeah, like yeah, maybe with evals, but I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea. I just feel like because like you know how like we got chain of thought by like putting on reinforcement learning
Yeah,
on top of it. So I don't. Yeah, I'm
and that's a
curious.
very
What
big
is?
concept in evals
Yeah,
right now.
yeah.
Like, how do you create RL environments where agents can like you can test agents and see how reliable they are, and also check where the vulnerabilities are. And I think if anyone can crack the evals like architecture, like
Yeah,
they're gonna sit at the top. And I think it's a very easy acquisition into OpenAI and Anthropic, because evals is
yeah.
like the next big thing that people are chasing right now, especially because so many startups are building these shitty AI agent architectures and they don't know like what vulnerabilities or inaccuracies. Also, a big factor, by the way,
Hmm.
is cost optimization.
Yeah.
Um, even I think security is one thing, but another thing is cost optimization. Because at the end of
Hmm.
the day, if you're issuing like two new um load balancers, but you only need one, and the AI agent like thinks you need two, that's cost, right?
Hmm.
Same thing with like for example dental. I know a friend who has like a dental clinic automated like AI agent infra or whatever, and like a very big problem is like he makes two agent calls instead of one, and he didn't realize it, and the second agent call was just never tracked. And
Hmm.
this is like waste of resources and API costs, especially for smaller entrepreneurs. So I think cost is also a very big thing, optimizing cost. And AI agents, like it's very hard for them to like fine tune them to optimize cost.
Mm.
They're more so tuned to problem solving and not exactly tuned to cost optimization. Yeah, is what I think.
Oh, that makes a
Um,
lot of sense. Yeah, while you were saying that, I was just reading about evals, RLHF, and agents and all of that. I don't know, I think AI is so cool, and I think it's insane how fast it goes. And I kind of want to like, okay, so there's always this big debate between Claude and have you read? Wait, have you read the Stanford Artificial Intelligence report?
no.
You should like or at least watch like a TikTok explaining it. It's really
Okay.
interesting. So they sort of brought
Okay.
up this point where all AI agents, like okay, let's just take the big three. ChatGPT, Claude, and let's say Gemini. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Would you say those would be the big three of LLMs?
Claude, Code, GPT, Gemini. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So they say that with all of these like LLMs, they perform around the same level. Where it's like 1 week Fable comes out and Omethos comes out and Claude's on top. Then 5.6 comes out like a couple days later. And then like OpenAI is on top. And it's like they're all around that same level. And I feel like when it comes to evals, we have all our tests. But it's like I do feel like because I'm happy that you brought up this point, but I feel like there are more like tests we need to develop, like as you said, for agents and whatnot. And I don't know how, okay, for you, how do you go and look at someone's AI agent and go, okay, this is shit versus like, oh, this could actually like scale, or like work?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think two concepts. Like first is like how much is it costing them, If
Mm-hmm.
it's costing them like shitload of money, it's probably because they're not prompt engineered it properly, or they haven't fine tuned it, or their data set is incomplete, or their architecture. At the end of the day, your agents like you have to implement an architecture, right? Do they follow a
Mm-hmm.
chain of command? Like one agent talks to the next, and then
Mm-hmm.
it goes down a chain of command, or is it like a tree structure? There's so many different types. So that's one, cost optimization. Secondly, like, is it solving many edge cases? And I feel like a lot of them don't think about edge cases. So I look at that as well. Coming to like Claude and like all these AI models that are slightly like making improvements, I think there's a business motive behind that.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes you have to look at it this way. If my competitors have the same morals as me, do I really need to make a model that's like 10 times better if I know they can
Mm-hmm.
match me in like 2 months? Or can I just go a little bit better and make the same amount of profit? So it's like it's also a business side to things. Like they like for example, they have Mythos. They haven't released
Mm-hmm.
Mythos. And I would say Mythos is probably a lot better than Fable. And there's a reason why they kept it gated. So I would say it's more of a marketing standpoint. It's like the same reason why you see McDonald's and Subway like next to each other,
Yeah.
and how like they stake their prices depending on their competitors. Um, I wouldn't say that they're incapable of making something significantly better. I think it's all just like profit wise. Okay, like if we
Yeah.
just make a barely better model with little resources and little expenditure,
Yeah.
then we will already make a decent amount of profit that we don't really need to worry about scaling and making a significantly better model.
It's true.
Um,
Okay, yeah, I'm so happy. I like the fact that you brought up the whole business side of AI because, okay, like these big LLM companies, I remember
yeah.
OpenAI was like, yeah, we have to spend 140 billion. We're gonna lose like 140 billion dollars. Like
Yeah.
it's hilarious because like from a purely business standpoint, if you looked at a company, it's like, oh yeah, we're losing 140 billion dollars. You're like, what's going on here? But then like
Yeah.
people like investors are like begging them to get their money, and it's one of those things where like when you go to the AI bubble, it's you sort of like have to wonder like what companies do you really think are gonna last, and what do you think are like
Only
this is
three.
just full of smoke? Which three? I'm
This is very,
curious.
this is very, it's probably gonna cause a lot of, like, I don't think a lot of people are gonna agree with me. But I think the three biggest companies that are gonna last is Google. And the
Mm-hmm.
second is Elon subsidiaries, like all of Elon
Oh,
subsidiaries. And
really?
third would be Amazon. Um,
Wow. Wait.
and
So you
not
don't
because I
think?
work here. Not because I work here, but I've been thinking about this even before I started working here. The main reason is why, I'll tell you why. Data, Google owns data. Like Google's ahead in
Yeah.
data and no company's gonna like be able to compete with that.
Yeah.
Secondly, um, Amazon because logistics, delivery,
Yeah.
like you can't really compete in that space. You can have like small competitors, but I think when you look at like the expansion of AI and how good AI is gonna get, Amazon will incorporate like a bunch of these smaller companies into their products so
Mm-hmm.
quickly that like it will just put them out of business.
Yeah.
Because they can incentivize consumers with like, okay, zero delivery fees, zero
Mm-hmm.
whatever, and then everyone will switch on to their platforms. And third, probably like people are not gonna agree with it. I think XAI, SpaceX, Tesla,
Really?
SpaceLink, SpaceStar, all those like all the subsidiaries are
Huh.
gonna last. And I think if you name any company right now that's not in these three, I could assure you that one of these three companies can build it and scale it quicker than they would. For example, Stripe payment.
Yeah.
I think Google can take over payment because they already have their own payment infrastructure.
Yeah.
Even Amazon does, but I think Google's is better. And then, for example, like look at Shopify.
Mm-hmm.
Shopify, like Google already has their own shop ads. I don't know if you knew this, but Shopify makes most of its money through giving Google its merchants data, and that's how like merchants can then advertise their products and they get ad spend on it. So Google can
Mm-hmm.
just build Shopify overnight and then like
Yeah.
destroy Shopify. And that's one of the big concerns with Shopify. If everyone's bad coding their like shops and like they're using Google Analytics, do they really need Shopify? So if you really look at it from
Yeah.
that point of view, I think whoever owns data, logistics, and AI, and the reason why I said XAI, they are gonna they're playing the long game in the sense that like right now maybe Anthropic and like OpenAI is better, but they have access to hardware. They have
Yeah.
access to a million H100s. No one has access to a million H100s. In fact, Anthropic is on a contract with XAI to borrow their GPUs. Now, if you look at the game, it's about who's ahead in GPU. For the short
Mm-hmm.
term, yeah, you can have good AI models, but XAI is playing the long term game, and I feel like that's why If you look at sustenance, it's going to be these three companies. That's my prediction. I might be wrong,
That's fair.
but
To be
that's what
honest,
I
I
think.
completely agree with you, except for with XAI. Like, not because your points are valid, just like
Yeah.
I'm a little bit of an Elon critic. I know, like,
Okay.
I like the fact that he's rich. I like his
Yeah.
products, but
Yeah.
I kind of feel like, feel free to correct me. He's made so many promises, and like he's never once like followed up on it. He was like, "Oh, by
Okay.
2016, we're sending people to Mars. Oh, by no, sorry, by 2020, we're gonna have people to Mars. 2016, full autonomous like taxis." And I kind of feel like sometimes it feels like, oh, I have this grand vision for this product. I don't deliver, but it's okay. I'm on to my next moonshot.
Yeah.
That being said, like, wait, as much as I criticize him, he's built some cool tech. Like Falcon
Yeah.
9 is insane. Like what he's
Yeah.
done for the electric industry is insane. Like as you said, the
Yeah.
GPUs with XAI. Like he's a great businessman. I'll give him that.
Yeah, he is a great businessman. I think you gotta look at his progress like over time as opposed to what he's saying. Because at the end of the day, he's
Yeah.
a showman. He's trying to just get
Yeah.
investors on his product and promise them things. I do agree that SpaceX is highly evaluated. I don't think it's worth
Mm.
a trillion or whatever. Um, but I think the way that I look at it is I look at the long term game here. So there's reasons to why he built his technology the way he did. Like the whole like Starlink, it's not like a random coincidence. And he's like,
Hmm.
you know what, I'm just gonna build Starlink.
Yeah.
It's very interconnected to how Teslas and rockets are gonna
Hmm.
work. You have to think about internet, right? For example, like let's say like it'd be very easy for Elon to just rely on Starlink communication for all their Teslas and do all the navigation via satellites and not like some database on the ground. And then like also the way he combines the data, he sells data between his companies
Hmm.
and the AI models in SpaceX are helping Tesla and the data from Tesla is helping SpaceX. And I had a conversation with someone at Tesla Robotaxi and another thing that I've really seen is all of his employees are so motivated to
Huh.
work at their companies. Yeah, which is surprising because you'd hear the opposite from like oh XAI people getting fired, like he's such the worst CEO, whatever. But like the stuff they're working on motivates them. Like look away from like what the CEO is. Just the
Yeah.
stuff that they're working on is so inspiring. Like he was telling me like, oh like it's like a chess game. What we're doing right now is we're making Tesla's autonomous taxis in SF and Texas.
Hmm.
Like two small cities, and then after that, we're gonna scale to like all of California and all of Texas. And after that, every single Tesla in every single person's home can be rented out as a Tesla as a taxi for the
Yeah.
night, and then they can go out and drive and like pick up people and like move them around from point A to point B. Like I see the vision here, and if you look at the short term game, like it's like whatever. But like I think from a long term perspective, he's gonna have the best GPUs, the best AI models. He's working on the best video generation models and the
Hmm.
best like speed generation models too. It's just that nothing's out yet.
Yeah.
But he's playing the long term game, and that's why like. And the reason why I know so much is because like I was interviewing for both of these companies, so
Oh
I looked
wow.
into it so much,
Yeah.
and and I was really like passionate about like the whole scope of where it's going
Yeah.
and stuff. Yeah.
I'm so happy. Sorry, I keep I've noticed this. I've noticed two things. You always say that's a good question, and I'm always like I'm so happy that you said this. But something I think this is a consequence of me learning about like NLP and like the whole idea of bag of words and like engrams. It's like whenever people speak, I always like notice like, oh, you're repeating that word. But you mentioned this thing about why I know so much about this is because I was interviewing like for Tesla, and this is something I ask all my guests. How do you learn about AI? Because like school is behind. Like I feel like if you just rely on school, you are going to be so behind. And like
Yeah.
again, for me, I feel like I'm an AI lead. I ran an AI startup. We had some like I made a decent amount of money from it, but like I feel like there's so much shit I don't know. And I'm like, how do you learn more about it? Like, okay, like with the evals point, like I've been thinking about this whole like RLHF like idea for agents for
Yeah.
so long. But then when you brought it up specifically, you're like, oh yeah, we're testing it for evals. And I was like, how did you learn about that? Like how do you like go about like learning about things in general?
Um. Again, that's a good question. I would say that.
Oh, I'm just gonna also sorry, I'm just gonna put my phone down. I gotta take some like medication. So like
Yeah.
yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah, but yeah, no, answer please. I'm so like genuinely I'm so curious about this.
I would say it's a combination of having a lot of friends in different like things within AI, and
Mhm.
even outside of tech. Like I have a lot of friends that are working on different things. So I think frequent conversations with whatever they're doing gets me really interested, and I think I'm really a believer of like um having a broad understanding of things more than
Yeah.
a depthful understanding of things.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that that's better to have like a broad understanding. I think it's because if you really want to go into a depth, you can. But to
Hmm.
get the broad overview of things, like you just have to be really open minded.
Mm.
Um, and for me, like most of my YouTube like recommendations are random AI videos. A lot of the conversations I have with my friends are about like stuff they're building. One of my friends is working on eval, so like I learn a lot
Yeah.
about what he's doing. Um, and maybe even asking like my friends like what they do at work, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think I'm just really open to learning a lot. You know, if you look at the trajectory of my startups, they're like all over the place. Like one of them was in
Yeah.
healthcare, one of them was in like social networking, other one was
Hmm.
in AI powered navigation. Then I built a random game, mobile game. I got like 6,000 downloads, and then like now like I'm working on some other stuff as well. And it's like I'm always open to new ideas, and I feel like that's what like good entrepreneurs should be
Yeah.
always in search of, because depth is important once you have
Hmm.
a good product. For example, like let's say I fixate my mind on offline. I won't look
Hmm.
at anything else for a moment. I'll
Hmm.
only learn as much as I possibly can about what it takes to build offline, how people have built something similar in the past, how do you market, all these things. So once I fixate on an idea, I learn as much as I possibly can about it, and I kind of become an expert. But until you have like a generic, until you have an idea that you can really work on, I think you should just like learn as much as possible, because like you don't know where your next idea is gonna be. And I feel like a lot of people, they might be really good at something, but just
Hmm.
they just never like looked into it.
So no, I've had a similar experience where if you look at all the startups I've done, my first one was AI for like plumbers, HVACs, electricians. Then I tried to
Yeah,
make an app where you can gamble on your friends' relationships. Then after that, I tried to do this like one thing, like this like neurosymbolic AI like thing that just sort of like tried to reduce like multi-agent failure rate. It didn't end up scaling very well, but like we had some cool initial results. Now I'm working in like the AI nursing space, like for my like job
yeah,
as an AI lead. Like I'm basically
yeah,
running a startup, but I have a big company's resources and I get paid a salary.
yeah,
And I have a question for
yeah,
you. And this is something I had a talk with my friend who's doing their PhD in
yeah.
like in machine learning. Do you feel like you understand AI?
No, I understand the application of AI.
I love these because me and my friend we were like, I'm gonna be honest, we were a bit intoxicated. And then
Yeah.
we were both like, yo, bro, like I don't really feel like I
I don't
understand
really
this.
understand
And it
AI.
was like,
Yeah.
and I was like, wait, you're doing a PhD in AI. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean you don't
Overcooked.
understand it?
Yeah,
What? Okay. Yeah.
yeah, I think I don't even think Sam Altman understands like AI, to be
Yeah.
honest. I think it's it's very practical based. Like obviously you're gonna have all these models and everything. At the end of the day, um, I think most engineers like who are builders, they don't really
Mhm.
understand AI. They just understand like, okay, what can I do with AI, right? It's like you don't understand how a machine works, but you'll sell the
Yeah.
machine, right? And you'll
Yeah.
convince everyone like this is the best machine out there. Like this will like do
Yeah.
all your chores, blah blah blah. But if you were to ask like a CEO or a builder, like, okay, what actually happens in AI? Like no one's gonna really know. It's like trying to
Yeah.
explain physics.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. But PhD, yeah, that's a little concerning.
He's
Um,
just starting it. That like he's
okay, okay,
gonna
okay,
start
okay.
it next year. But
Okay,
also
then that
it's
makes
like
sense. Yeah,
no, but also like okay, here's the way I see it. Let's say
yeah.
you're like you're Ilya Sutskever, you're Dario Amato, you're one of those people. The further you
I'm
get,
not.
no, no,
Okay.
no, yeah, neither. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Neither of us are. Like, yeah, neither of us are this person. But
Okay.
like, the
Yeah.
further you get in your field, you get more and
Yeah.
more narrow. It's like Dario Amato. Like he was like in computer vision for Tesla. I'm sure he deeply understands how computer vision works. But like
Yeah.
the whole point of a PhD is how do you like understand a problem that we don't currently get, and how do we solve it? But then it's like, yeah, maybe he knows computer vision, but it's like, what does he know about NLP? What does he know
Mm,
about like the black box problem? What does he know about agents? What does he know about evals, for example? And again,
mm.
like I'm sure he does know quite more than both of us do probably.
Yeah,
But
100%. Yeah.
like I don't know. I sort of this is like okay. That's the thing where it's like people make a lot of and I've done this too. Everybody does it.
Yeah.
You make
Yeah.
promises on what the AI can do, but you're sort of like you're hoping for the best. You're using your intuition. You're using what you've seen. A lot of it is like a lot of like I feel like when you're selling is, oh, I hope AI can get to this like vision I'm sending in eventual
Mm,
amount of time. You know what I mean?
yeah. Is that a question? Sorry, are you
No,
asking
that's not a
like?
question. It's just my little like
Okay.
it's that little like
Okay.
nobody understands AI rant.
Yeah. I definitely agree. It's like if you time travel like 10 years ago, like no one really
Mhm.
understood Bitcoin or like
Mm.
blockchain. But like
Fuck, I still don't
everyone
understand
everyone's
Bitcoin and
talk.
blockchain. I
I don't
still
understand either.
don't
I
understand
took a
that.
course on it as well. So um, it's like you just believe in the fundamentals so
Yeah.
heavily that like you just like you're like, you know what, I trust the fundamentals. Let me just move on to application wise.
Yeah.
Um, so I think everyone that's building right now is in the same
Mhm.
predicament. They don't know, but they believe in it so heavily that okay, like I can assume that it will do what I want it to do, and I can assume that it will solve this problem that I think it can solve. And once they get a working prototype, then they're off to the moon. But I
Mm.
I think if someone really does want to become a researcher, um, like they have to be so passionate about like not knowing the
Uh-huh.
unknown and like deep resolve to figure it out. Um, like these are the type of people like when like back when they're 5 years old, they're like, okay,
Mhm.
where does the ball come from? And then your mom's saying the ball comes from like the store. Where does the store come from? The store comes from like blah blah. And it goes to like
Mhm.
where does the earth come from? Where does life come from? And it's like God, and they don't stop
Yeah.
at God, and they kind of ask themselves more questions, and they want to know like the details of
Mm.
everything, right? And they want to understand the whole universe. Like I would say, like someone who has a really good understanding of AI theoretically is someone that's kind of similar to like theoretical physics, who has a deep interest towards
Mm.
theoretical physics. Um, right? Because when you describe an LM, you can't visualize it. You can't visualize
Mhm.
okay the numbers like converting into vectors and vectors converting into
Yeah,
embeddings and then
multiplying with each other.
yeah,
Yeah.
you can't envision it. And the thing is like you're like how does someone even solve this? And
Yeah.
you just keep getting deeper and deeper. And I feel like some people like are just not patient enough to go like to the depth. Neither am I.
Yeah.
And it's the people that are really patient that are really fit for research. But yeah.
I guess the next question I want to ask you is, what is your vision for the future of AI? Where do you see it going? What or not where do you see it going? Where do you want it to go, and where do you actually see it going?
It's a really good question. I think I've said it before. I think everyone's
Mhm.
becoming content creators, and
Ooh.
I'll tell you why. Oftentimes it's like when you realize that okay, the only commodity in this world is attention,
Mhm.
you would captivate that attention to seek and earn a benefit, whether that's like potential funding or potential views that could convert to users or audiences that want to spend money on your product, on your pages, whatever that might be. You see more and more content creators emerge out of this AI expansion, and
Mm.
that's because oftentimes, there's a really good book like Fahrenheit 451.
Oh, I've read
Um,
that book. Yeah.
yeah, and it's one of the concepts that I really like is the fact that like when you try to kill art, art comes back to you.
Mhm.
And it's like when AI is like making it easier to generate images and like auto generate these beautiful, captivating stills,
Mhm.
you will rather go watch that Instagrammer who's like painting themselves and is decently good enough.
Mhm.
Um, and attention is going from tokens to attention. And there's a
Yeah.
reason why a lot more content creators are coming out and a lot more people are trying to explore different aspects of
Mhm.
art. So what I really see happening is AI is gonna like take over like basically every job that is not even like human centric. Like for example,
Mhm.
like I would say even like from the point of view of like law, ethics.
Mhm.
And then humans are gonna be very artistic.
Ooh,
Um,
interesting.
and I don't know how long this will take, but I think I can already see like reminiscences of that starting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
I
we're in
have.
this like
Yeah.
anti-AI type of like no, it hasn't
Yeah.
started yet, but it will start really soon. It's
Oh,
like
did you
anti-AI
see the
movement.
did you see the news today?
No,
There was this massive protest in San Francisco, literally like today, where a bunch, it was like a stop AI working, and it's not just like like baristas and things like that. It's like literal like AI researchers, that like one AI
yeah,
researcher at Google DeepMind, he was in it.
yeah,
Like there's this massive AI, like Literally, like it happened like either today or like yesterday.
No, yeah, that's crazy, and I'm not surprised to be honest.
I have a different. I have like I believe your point of view, but like I think there's just a little bit more. I feel like
Okay.
there's four categories of jobs that are going to survive into, I guess I'm going to call it the new era. The first, as
Mm,
you said, is content, where it's very like human. Like you can have AI generated content, but like it's like a real human being voicing their opinion, art, or
yeah,
yeah, whatever you want to call it. The second type of job I feel will be safe, and this is until like robotics gets sophisticated enough, is
yeah,
manual labor, the trades. Because like
yeah,
right now, like AI is great at the online world, but like robotics is not sophisticated enough to like fix your toilet or do something else.
yeah,
The next job I feel like is going to really exist is like unsolvable problems, like really advanced problems in like science, material chemistry, like just problems that are very hard. Like let's say medicine, like
yeah,
solving cancer, things that like
yeah,
AI assists versus doesn't necessarily like solve, if that makes sense. Like it's like
yeah,
it's a joke I always make. You never hear like quants and doctors being like, "Oh no, AI is going to take my job," you know?
yeah, yeah. It's not
And then
possible. Yeah,
and then the fourth job that I think is going to survive, or the type of job, is very human centric jobs like sales, negotiation, management, like things where there's a human element that AI hasn't taken. And I
yeah.
don't know, like nobody actually knows if that's going to happen.
No,
Like,
I
cause
agree. I agree. I definitely
yeah,
agree with these four. I don't
yeah,
see a doctor being replaced. I don't see someone who's like moving mines and digging and like doing all the
yeah,
operational stuff being replaced either. And content creators definitely not.
mhm,
Sales that there's like a half and half there because you are seeing a lot of like AI based sales videos, UGC videos.
yeah,
It is working.
yeah,
And I think what's happening right now is like people are very like anti AI with
mhm,
marketing, because we are kind of like Gen Z and like we've seen what AI
yeah,
is not like and what AI is like. But I think
yeah.
people born in like 2026 will like be so used to AI sales. Like it'll be like okay, this is another AI sales marketing video. I guess whatever.
Yeah.
So I agree. I think I definitely do see those four. Even like research, like solving complex problems,
Mhm.
100%. Yeah.
Where do you, what do you, I guess I got a question. So, okay, you've launched your app, you've done all of these things, you've worked
Yeah.
with like big tech companies. What do you see for your future? Like, where do you see yourself fitting in this AI world? Are you gonna, yeah, I know, sorry, it's the big deep question. You don't have to answer it if you don't want
Yeah.
to.
No. I was just thinking like I was thinking about like all the possible answers I've had in the last 5 years and how they're so
Yeah.
different every time. I think right now I'm not scared about
Mhm.
AI. Like some of the things that like I do want to work on, they're all
Mhm.
just like it's all like related to AI.
Yeah.
And where I see myself is I see myself just like constantly building startups in this space because I'm so like I guess into it right now. It doesn't really make sense for me to go start like a grocery store. So it's like you gotta play with the strengths you were given. And I feel like I've been in this space long enough that like I kinda have to keep working in it and working on ideas in it. Um and seeing what like applications of AI that I could potentially solve, right? For example, you mentioned like AI in healthcare.
Yeah.
That's taking one industry and then adding AI to it. That's very
Mhm.
common in YC. Like most YC startups are
Mhm.
like that right now. So that in the short coming future, definitely building a bunch of startups, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't. I would say like 20 years, 30 years later, you just take a very like um opportunistic perspective on
Yeah.
like making a lot of money, to be honest.
That's the dream,
Because it's
right?
gonna be
Yeah.
really hard to build. It's gonna be really hard to build startups in 20, 30 years when you have all
Oh,
these like 18-year-olds who are like coming out of high school doing CS that are like much better at solving problems. So like you kind of have to play the game a little differently than compared to now.
yeah, no, that makes a lot of no, okay. I think I misunderstood what you were saying at first, but no, that makes sense. Where, yeah, we're in the gold rush right now, and this is okay. This is like another point I actually wanted to talk about you. So I feel like when it comes to running startups, there's three main scenarios. The first,
Yeah,
and this is for a majority of people, you launch your startup, like you have an idea, maybe you don't do anything. Actually, no, let's just assume it's only people that have actually tried. The first
yeah,
scenario is you've tried with your startup and it really doesn't go anywhere, and it's sort of like it was a waste of your time. Like just being
yeah,
completely honest, not because the product was bad, but like because I feel like people don't really market it well enough. The
yeah,
second scenario is you launch your startup and it becomes a hyperscaler.
Yep.
That's like option. And I feel like the biggest category of all people that do startups is number one, like truth be told.
Yep.
Then like the smallest one is number two. But then I feel like there's this new emerging third category that's coming up where you launch your startup, it didn't become a hyperscaler, but it was great for your career. Like, and that's for me, like, how did I get my
Mm.
AI lead role? I launched a startup. I made a little bit of money off it. I had some like big meetings. And as a result, like I posted on about LinkedIn that like recruiters started coming out. And it's so interesting because like, back in the day it was, oh, I'm gonna do a startup because I don't want to work anymore. Like fuck the like fuck Fang, fuck corporate. But now it's
Yeah.
almost like I'm gonna launch a startup so I can get a job in Fang.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. I've actually heard that before. Like
Yeah.
people are not doing startups so they can get a job. It's funny. Um, yeah, I would say I don't fall under like either of those categories because for me, I don't work on
Mhm.
ideas unless I'm like this is my thing. Like if I'm
Yeah.
thinking of an idea, it has to be like my break it or like nothing. And if it's
Yeah.
just like a $1 million like evaluation like max cap idea, I'm not motivated by it to be truthfully
Yeah.
honest. I'd rather just learn as much as I possibly can in the industry than work on like some like no disrespect to anyone doing like a dental like AI agent clinic or whatever. Um, but like I'd rather work on ideas that like wake me up in the morning and at
Yeah.
night. And that's I can only say that because right now because I'm working, I'm getting paid.
Yeah.
But obviously, like for people that want to make a living and not be like tied to a company or whatever,
Hmm.
then yeah, that is the most strategic route. You get that
Yeah.
AI thing going, you make money off of it, convert your living needs, and then build the
Yeah.
next big thing. Um,
Yeah.
so right now, I guess I'm in my like building the next big thing phase.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of addicted to it. So
Yeah.
I guess like yeah, that's one thing.
So here's the actual next question. Like, so let's just imagine money didn't matter and it wasn't about making a consumer app. What is like one problem in the world where if you had unlimited resources and unlimited time and essentially like yeah, what would you solve? Not don't think about money, don't think about like, oh, I want to revolutionize this industry. Like what is like an actual problem in the world if you have any? Like for example, there's like starvation, like the fact that people
Hmm.
like don't get food or like cancer and things like that. Like I guess sort of like a problem in the world that like if you had unlimited resources, you would try and
Is it
solve
tech or non-tech?
anything. It can be tech, it can be anything at all. Like the pro-
I
like
think
essentially
I think
this.
saying something like starvation is very simple. Like it's very simple
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
I would add one more thing to your question. Maybe something that I think I could solve. I'll add that at the end of
Okay,
that.
yeah, go for it.
Okay. I think if I had unlimited money, I think one of the biggest things that I would focus on is social media addiction.
Oh yeah, that's so yeah. That's a good.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a really good one.
I think that's like within like tech and also not within tech
Mhm.
because people are like losing their lives to it and addiction and dopamine the rewiring our brains I've seen first side effects of that.
Mhm.
If I had unlimited money, I would figure out a way to solve that. I mean, a lot of people have
Yeah,
tried, none of them really work.
yeah.
I would have to take a very unique approach to it for sure. Uh, but yeah, I think that's one problem. I'm definite. Like I would spend my whole life
Uh,
solving that, and I would
I'm
be okay with
mm,
it.
I'm happy about this. So I'm gonna give you some interesting stats. Did you know
Yeah,
we're in a friendship recession?
I didn't know that. Yeah,
Did you know we're also in a sex recession?
I mean, yeah, because like we are also having less birth rates as well. Yeah,
No, but it's
makes
okay.
sense.
Here's another question. What percentage of people aged 18 to 25 do you think have sex once a week?
18 to 25.
Our age group. What percentage?
Probably like 1%.
It's okay. It's a third, one
Okay.
third. But
Oh,
there's
33%.
yeah, no, no, but
I think it's higher.
there's one thing that you need to account for. There's a lot of
Okay.
people in relationships. So it's like if you think about it just like in terms of single people, and this is the lowest it's ever been, like in human history. And it's the
Okay.
reason you said everybody's addicted to their phone. Because like suddenly when you have this like supercomputer in your pocket that can
Yeah.
keep you entertained at every second, what incentive do you have to go outside
To
and
really
talk to
go out of
people?
that was one of the biggest reasons why we built offline.
No,
Like,
that's honestly the thing where I was like, I felt
yeah.
like when I heard it, I was like, this is a good idea. Like, I was like, this should work. Like, it's like fuck, like
Yeah.
I'd use it. And then it's
And
like, yeah, I know.
I guess people aren't ready for it yet. Some people have an
Yeah.
open mindset, some people don't. And I definitely agree with like what you just said. It's like you have entertainment in front of you, so easily accessible that like, do you really need to like, oh, like for example, you want to meet a girl, just download Tinder and like keep swiping right endlessly. And it actually like annoys me when I see people and like I'm like, let's say we're eating food and then they're like swiping right on Tinder like endlessly. And I'm like, while we're eating food, I'm like, are you good, bro? Like,
Oh,
what's going
dude, I feel
on?
the same way. With
Yeah,
whenever I see people, like if let's say I'm at a restaurant with my friend and I look over and I
yeah,
just see like two friends and they're just like scrolling social media and I'm like, dude, like talk to each other, bro.
yeah.
It's like I don't know. That's like yeah, that's something that pisses me off.
One thing about like my very close friend circle is we
Yeah.
talk to anyone and everyone. Like
Yeah.
literally we'll be on the train and like there'll be a guy sitting alone and we just go and sit next to him and talk to him. Like
Oh,
I
that's
feel like
awesome.
that type of energy is what needs to come back. And
Yeah.
offline was an attempt of that. But I
Uh,
think forget about offline for a second. I think in general, people are scared. Like, one thing
mm,
that I say often is like, you could be potentially walking past your next co-founder, your next soulmate, your next like best friend,
yeah.
but you wouldn't know it because two things, you're either too awkward to go and approach the moment, or
Mhm,
secondly, like you just didn't know. Like you just
mhm,
had no idea that this person could have been like someone important in your life.
mhm,
And I think going like the same way you reached out to me, right? Like you
mhm,
took you shot your shot and then there's a message
yeah.
and I responded. And a lot of people in this like economy are just like scared to
Mm.
to reach out to people and I feel like people are afraid of rejection. And
Oh
that's the
yeah.
reason and the reason why is because not because they're afraid, but they're so abundantly they have such high accessibility to entertainment
Mhm,
that rejection does not like hit them ever. Social
completely.
awkwardness, things like that. And 100% is a big problem, man. I think if I ever get an idea in my head that's like actually tangible, I will work towards that for sure.
Mhm. I feel like you're so right. That's a good thing about being a founder where you like you hear 1,000 no's before no, you hear 100 no's before you hear one yes. So we're
Yeah.
sort of like rejections. And it's very interesting that you brought up this idea about you going up and talking to people because I remember when I was I'm Indian. When I was in India, like I remember this was a conversation where like in the Western world, people don't really like talk to other people
Mm.
unless they're already friends
Yeah.
with them or they're in a environment where talking is encouraged. But in India,
Yeah.
it's like if you and this other person are just alone in a bus stop, like you guys are just gonna start talking. And it's like I feel like
Yeah.
sort of like the it's sort of like it's sort of culturally like there needs to be a shift where we don't view people that we don't know as like strangers that are outside. We view them as like people that could become our friends, you know? And I think
Mm.
that's so cool. Something I've started doing with my friends is if we're walking on the road and let's say we're having a disagreement. So like yesterday, my PhD friend, we were talking
Yeah.
about what does the PH and PhD stand for and like could most people get it? And it's philosophy, doctorate of philosophy. And I actually didn't know that until like a year ago. And like we started asking people, we're like, yo, what does the PH and PhD stand for? And nobody got it. And it's things like that I love where it's like you just go up to someone and ask them like a random question, and then they're just like,
Yeah.
oh, this is what I think, you know?
Yeah, I don't think it's being extroverted or introverted. I think it's
Mhm.
like, do you really like, are you alive? You gotta often
Yes.
ask yourselves, like, are you truly alive? Like, think about the last time you like talked to a new human being. If you
Oh,
can't even
dude, that's so
remember,
real.
then you're cooked.
No,
You
yeah,
have
I
this
agree with
very
that.
you have this very short life where like you're on this earth, and if you can't
Mhm.
even make conversation with people just for the sake of it, right? Um, then like what have you really amounted to? That's
Mm.
something I know people that have not made friends in years. Like they're stuck with the same friend group. They're too comfortable. And
Yeah.
their comfort feeds other people's comfort within that friend group, and you have like this locked like
Yeah.
layer where sometimes maybe meeting another person could have opened up your mind to anything, honestly. Meeting your partner, whatever.
Mhm.
The whole dating thing
I
is like so
yeah.
cooked, especially. I think not making as many friends might not be as bad as not being able to find your life partner.
Oh,
Um,
oh, that's a good oh. But also, you know what the
um,
converse of it is? The more
what?
friends you have, the easier it is to find your life partner. Because like,
100%.
yeah, back in the day it was like, oh, like here are my friends. Because like people were bored back like what in the 90s, people were bored. We're not
Yeah,
bored like ever. And like when you're
yeah,
bored, you're like forced to talk to people to get unbored. And when you're forced to
yeah.
talk to people, you just like meet different
You
groups.
meet
And
people,
now,
yeah.
yeah. And nowadays it's this thing of like the standard is so high for how
Yeah.
entertaining you have to be to like even be
Yeah.
like, ah, let me just do this. And fuck, yeah, no, I really, yeah, I think about this a lot where it's like, but I don't know, like, this is the way I feel. Like, what is the solution? Is there a solution, or is
To
it just gonna keep getting worse?
friendship or dating? Which
To
part?
both, because okay, here's the thing. I'm a social guy.
Both.
I have a
Yeah.
lot of friends, but sometimes I feel like, oh, I want more friends. I want to talk to more people.
Let me ask you a simple question.
Yeah.
Arnav, how many
Mhm.
places have you visited in the last 4 years?
Places
Yeah.
in Toronto or in the world.
In the world.
So my parents move around every couple of years. So in the last four
Okay.
years, I've been to Thailand, Sri
Nice.
Lanka, India, Dubai, Canada. I'm going to the US either like next week or in the next two
Yeah.
weeks. I feel like I also went to London to visit some friends.
Yeah.
Fuck, I feel like there's somewhere. I mean, I went to Van to go see my roommate's friend.
Yeah.
Oh, I went to Cancun. Yeah, I travel around a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, let's say you asked anyone else, like normally on the street, how many times they've traveled in the last 4 years, they would say nowhere. Like that's like the
Yeah.
average answer. And the thing is, if you can't really travel anywhere, how are you putting yourself out of your comfort zone to talk to people, right? So
Oh.
I think traveling is a very big component. If someone's in the same city their entire lives, then they're gonna have an excuse in the back of their head to be like, you know what, I've been here my whole life. Do I really need to talk to people? Like, it's not that deep. But if you travel, you are exploring another place, and especially if you're solo traveling or you're traveling with your friends. I think it's a little different than traveling with your family, but you have like this feeling that okay, no one knows me, so I can do whatever
Yeah.
the fuck I want. First thing,
Yeah.
second thing, I'm in this new place and I want to learn more. Where do I learn more? I just ask people, yo, what's the best restaurant? Like, what's the place? How do I get there? Um, like I'm staying over here for a night. What are you guys doing tomorrow? Like, let's hang out. Like, it's so easy to strike up a conversation, and I think a lot of people are afraid of moving because of it's
Yeah.
uncomfortable, and I love moving. I think it's the
Yeah.
most exciting thing ever, and I feel um like my other friend, he moves so much as well. Like he did a whole like Europe tour, which I didn't end up going to,
Yeah.
but like every country he would like meet like 10, 20 people. And now these are
Yeah.
people that he will know for the rest of his life. And these are people like they would remember him for the rest of his life because of the
Yeah.
experiences that they shared. Um and I think forget about making friends, forget about getting a girlfriend, think about making experiences. And in a process you will find these two things, I think.
Yeah. I want to do a trip like because I'm still technically in school. I've got one credit left, and
Yeah.
after like at the end of September, I'm going to be done, and I'm working my job. I want to do this like I've wanted to do this for a while, but I'm actually going to like go on like a solo traveling trip. I don't know
Hmm.
where, probably Europe or Asia or somewhere. And yeah,
Yeah.
where have you traveled in the last 4 years?
Yeah, so I've traveled a lot across Ontario, like from city to
Yeah.
city. I've been in downtown Toronto. I've been in Scarborough. I also went to SF. I went to Chicago. I'm from Texas, so I traveled back there. Now I'm in Vancouver, and a lot of my time is like also like meeting, going to events. Like I go to a lot of
Hmm.
events, and like all sorts of events. And I feel like I've been fortunate enough to meet people there. SF has been one of probably the best experiences I've had.
Yeah.
I met so many people there, so many really cool people. I've been to a lot of hackathons. Um, but all in all, I haven't traveled like I want to go to Europe and Japan, hopefully this like December. Um, but
Yeah.
I think more people should travel more,
Yeah.
and they should like and a lot of people complain they're like always a luxury. I don't think so. I think that's an excuse. I think people you can travel for cheap if you plan ahead. And you don't have to like live in a five-star hotel. You can just like
Mm.
have a backpack and go backpacking around like East Asia. It's really about your mindset. And I think sometimes people are so okay. I call it like there's this concept like ikigai. Have you heard of ikigai? It's like do like one super hard thing in your life once a
Oh,
year. And then so that
not
the
heard
rest
of
of the 364 days don't compare to it.
it.
And then you feel so motivated. Like for example, like go jump off an airplane tomorrow, like
Mhm.
improv. And then you'll notice that every other day of your life for that year or like the next few months, you'll be so numb to the fact that you've done something so crazy that all hardships, like for example, talking to people will feel
Yeah.
so easy. Um, so there's a lot of like interesting concepts like that. And I feel like you just have to like know that okay, like I've done so much shit in my life that like talking to a stranger is not that difficult.
Yeah, that's wow. I'm gonna remember that. And okay, yeah, those are all the questions I had prepared. So I guess the last thing I always ask my guests this: what is
Yeah.
there anything you want to leave off, like something you want to say, or something you think people should remember, or I don't know, like anything that you feel like people should. I don't know. Just is there anything you would like to say, or something that you think people should know, or they should remember, or they should do?
Yeah, sure. I would say that your time on this earth is limited in despite of whether you're religious or not, or you believe in the
Mhm.
aftermath of heaven or hell. Your time on this earth is still limited, and that's a fact. Just like you're not aware of your birth, you will not be aware when you're gonna die. So I think the time in between is the time you gotta make the most out of who you can potentially be. And I think if you really have something in the back of your mind that you've been holding like dearly, um, and you don't and you feel like you haven't been able to showcase that to the world, I think there's no better time than now. You're the youngest you'll ever be. And to be honest, like I've made a lot of mistakes in my life where I could have gone back and I should have done things that I should have done. And I will regret them for the rest of my life. But I think moving forward, like now is the time you're gonna do it, and now is a window of opportunity where you could do it. There are times in my life where I did take that decision, and I would never
Mhm.
regret it, even if it led to the worst circumstances or the worst outcomes.
Mhm.
I think most people are worried about the outcomes and less about the act, and I think life is about the act and not the outcomes. So yeah, I think just like take a chill pill, but like at the same time, like do what you want to do, and don't stress too
Mhm.
much. That's what I would say. Yeah. And
Thank you
it's
so
not
much
really
for your
related to
time,
tech,
Vikram.
but
Nah, that's all
it's
good, man.
something
This
that
is
I live by. But yeah, of
so, well, yeah, no. Thank you so much for your time, Vikram. Yeah, this has been
course I
Tism
know. It's been
Talks.
great
I'm
talking
just
to
gonna
you. Some good questions.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna stop recording.